Hello! M4K here in the Performa workshop, today with a request from the FlipClockFans website. They wanted to see the inner workings of this interesting antique clock, something I'm more than happy to do. First off, everything that I know about this clock, it is a thrift store find. It is a Tymeter Numechron digital clock built by Spartus, and it was built in November of 1973. However, this sticker conflicts with the information printed on the actual base of the clock mechanism, which states that it is a Penwood Numechron built in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania by the Penwood Numechron Company. Curious. However, that's all I really know about it, so let's see what lies within. This is a very simple clock in a very simple wooden case. It has no buttons, knobs, or any other features whatsoever. The wooden case is held in place with 4 short flathead screws located at the corners, 2 of which are hidden in the feet at the rear of the clock. I used a 3mm flathead precision screwdriver for this. The feet in the back have some sort of padding. I think it may have once been felt of some sort, but it's pretty well disintegrated over the better part of half a century now. Rather than try and deal with removing it, I was able to fit this screwdriver through the center of this failed padding to get to the top of the screw without having to try to outright remove it and whatever terrible adhesive was probably holding it on. I still have some more research to do before I replace the padding on these feet, as I'm not even quite sure what color they may have originally been. At any rate, the screws all came out without any trouble. After that's done, there's nothing holding the clock into the case. Gently flip the whole thing right side up again, and with a little wiggling, the wooden case will lift right off the base plate. The plastic window is attached to the clock mechanism, not the case, so be mindful of this when putting the case back on so you don't accidentally scratch it. Now with the top off, we can properly explore this clock's inner workings and the neat engineering that makes it possible. I've powered the clock on and advanced the speed so you can see the motion a little more easily. As you can see, there's not much to this clock. No alarm, no radio, or even a light. Just one 60Hz motor that drives the entire mechanism. It does this by powering this seconds wheel. It also doubles as the clock's whirligig, which moves quickly enough to tell the user at a glance that the clock is powered on and running. It's this wheel that has a, for lack of a more technical term, nub on the side of it at the 30-second mark, which fits into a gear on the minute dial, which then advances the time ahead. When the minute hand reaches 9, a nub on its side fits into a gear on the next dial, and then when that one reaches 5, it fits into a nub on the hour dial, allowing this one little motor to control the entire clock mechanism while almost never being actively engaged to the dials it's controlling. In order to keep the wheels from turning when it's undesired, there is a very simple spring mechanism, for lack of a more technical term, that keeps them from rolling backwards or forwards except when they're being engaged by either the second wheel whirligig or by the user in question who's trying to set the time. This spring mechanism is quite small and a little hard to see. I'll try and point it out here on the video a little bit better. It's most visible on the hour dial here. I'll also show you a little more of that detail inside the dials themselves. It's rather clever engineering that makes this whole mechanism operate so smoothly. Finally, there is a rather neat feature of this clock that I haven't seen on any others, and I'd like to show it to you. Because the dials are only ever engaged for about a second out of every minute, the user can manually spin the hour and minute dials to set the time forward or backward, however they choose, even when the clock is running. Perhaps there are other clocks out there that allow the user to manually manipulate the dials to set the time this way, but this was definitely a first for me. I can't imagine too many clocks that would come in the following years would find this sort of manual resetting appealing, and though I wouldn't rule it out, I imagine engineering an alarm function into a mechanism this simple could prove quite difficult, though I could be wrong about that. There were a lot of clocks produced during this time that took some very interesting engineering shortcuts, and I suppose somebody could have figured out a way to make it work. Alas, that about does it for the Tymeter Numechron. It's a very cool little clock with some neat engineering at its heart that keeps the whole thing ticking along without any serious electronics to worry about. With only one real point of failure, I expect this clock and others like it could run continuously for ages without any real problems. And if you're a collector looking for something cool that is unlikely to need any real maintenance, you might consider looking for something like this. Thank you so very much for watching. I have many more cool and curious things headed into the workshop soon. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to see what's next. Again, many thanks for watching, and have a great day!